What up? This is Sam Lachow, and you are listening to Fascination Street podcast.
Yeah, AV in your ears. That's Ambush Being giving you this audio visual down the most interesting street in the world with my boy Steve. Fascination Street, you already know. Let's get it when you whip in the Fascination Street. What do you?
Welcome back, Streetwalkers. This episode is with Sam Lachow. I love his music. Everything I say in the episode about his music is the truth. I absolutely, hands down, love it. So I reached out and I wanted to have him on the show. And he politely agreed. In this episode, we talk about how he became a rapper, why he became a rapper. Growing up in Seattle, it was hard for me to imagine that someone would gravitate toward rap, because I was not aware of its burgeoning rap scene, but apparently it is one. So we talk a lot about that. I ask him a bunch of questions about different songs. He lets me play my favorite song so far, currently, which is called Treehouse, off of the 2014 album Huckleberry, which was a Kickstarter project, and we also talk about why he decided to go that way with it. The day we recorded this, he had a new single drop. It is called I Might. It's his first single of 2024, and he has plans to release a new single every month of this year, culminating in 2 albums for the whole year. So be sure and pay attention to everything Sam Lachow has to offer and is releasing. He also lets me play that brand new song. It's brand new as of today, but by the time you're hearing this, it's a few weeks old. It's called I Might, and that's the last song we play as we go out. I had so much fun. Sam Lachow was open, honest, vulnerable. You guys are going to enjoy it. And this is my conversation with Sam Lachow.
Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated. Prepare to be fascinated.
Welcome to Fascination Street Podcast, Sammy Lachow, or should I say Sammy Lachow? What's up, dude?
What up, man? Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, 100% my pleasure. So there is a podcast I listen to. It's called The Nooner. It's based in Los Angeles, California. They have rotating hosts, but for the last few years, the lineup has pretty much been the same. And one of those guys is named John Sylvain. He's originally, well, not originally, but he, for a long time, lived in the Seattle area and was in theater production and theater, blah, blah, whatever. He was a big, huge fan of your dad's.
Oh, wow.
Huge fan of your dad's movies. And I was listening to the podcast, The Nooner, and one of the hosts asked John, hey, what are you listening to these days? And he said, my favorite thing to listen to right now is this artist named Sam Lachow. I was like, well, what the fuck am I doing? So I stopped listening right then to the podcast, and I searched out Sam Lachow. I'm pretty sure that if they were to do it right now, your Spotify, whatever the fuck, would just be me. Oh, dude, I have been nonstop listening to your stuff.
Dude, that's amazing. I really appreciate it.
It's dope. It's so original and unique. And one of the things that I like about your style is that you incorporate a lot of music that other rappers don't incorporate. You have a lot of jazz, you have a lot of actual hip hop, some blues even.
Yeah.
Your shit's really, really cool. So first of all, we're going to start all the way at the beginning. I just said all that so that the Streetwalkers would know how I found you. And it's from previous guests of the show, John Sylvain. Now, Sam, what I like to do is I like to start from the beginning, man. Where'd you grow up? How'd you grow up?
Man, I was born in Seattle, Washington. We quickly, when I was pretty young, like 3rd grade or something, moved to New York. As you said, my parents are both artists. My mom is a dance choreographer. My dad does theater and film, but it's very, modern art, sort of abstract, different, not a lot of money in that kind of stuff. So we were in New York and moving from apartment to apartment. Eventually, I guess, couldn't afford it anymore, moved back to Seattle. And that's where I started my love for music. I started writing raps in like 5th grade, maybe. Started burning CDs in middle school and selling them throughout the school. I had a little rap group in high school.
Is that Shankbone?
Shankbone. Yes, it is.
All right.
kind of was like it started as a joke, but then it actually started building some traction. I remember the first time hearing, I was at a party of another high school, not my own high school, and they were playing it. And I was like, oh, this is actually something.
So you go to this party that's at a different high school, and obviously nobody at the party, or except who you're with, knows that that's you that they're listening to, right?
Yeah,
They're,
exactly.
they're just listening to some shit. So did you take a moment and just kind of look around and see how everybody was taking it, like how everybody was reacting to your stuff?
No, I remember just playing it cool and pretending like I didn't even notice or care, but inside I was kind of like, ooh.
Did you start singing along and everybody was like, how the fuck do you know all these words?
No, I get kind of embarrassed when my own shit's playing around me. Like I just kind of pretend it's not happening.
Okay, so probably growing up with those two parents, I'm going to assume that maybe they dressed you up and put you in some plays that you didn't even want to be a part of.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because I was in my parents' plays when I was really young because I was such a shy kid. My dad tells me that one of the reasons he put me in the plays is because he thought I would never be on stage again, like in my later life. So he wanted me to have that experience.
Wait, that almost sounds like a put down. Like, you're not going to be good enough to be on stage, kid. Like, what was the thought process behind that? Or did he just know you didn't like it?
He thought, yeah, that I hated the attention, but he really wanted me to experience that world. It is such a fun world to be a part of, putting on a production. You become family with the people involved. I have great memories from that time, but he did not expect me in later in life to be on stage rapping for huge crowds.
That makes sense. Earlier I said that when I found you, I just nonstop started listening to you. And actually, I think you owe me an apology because I had my earbuds in and I was at the grocery store and I was dancing through the grocery store looking like a fucking idiot. I'm the only one who can hear what I'm listening to, obviously. And I'm just cruising through the aisles, dancing, and I'm just like, wait a minute, I look like an asshole. So that's your fault, Holmes.
I'm so sorry, man.
Yeah, that was the most genuine apology. Okay, so you get into music, you're listening to all kinds of stuff, I imagine, growing up, everything your friends are listening to. Why rap? You grew up in Seattle, which is famous for having its own very unique music scene and music style, and it's not rap. Why did you gravitate toward rap?
Just the same reason that anyone gravitates towards anything when they're young, like maybe in your time where you were from, you were in a rock band, a garage rock. Like everyone has, for my time, rap was what was in, it was Outkast, Eminem, and like the grunge scene wasn't what kids our age were. Like we didn't know anything about it at that time. When I was young, we were not thinking about the Seattle scene. It was the world. It was what was popular, what was shoved down our throats, I guess. And that was rap music. So, eventually everyone my age had a rap group.
That's wild. A couple of things that I want to talk about. One of them is Maggie.
Yeah.
What's Maggie's last name?
Her real last name is
No, blah, 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 blah. What's her rap last name?
Maggie Lou May.
Maggie Lou May. Now, you basically grew up with Maggie almost from diapers, right?
Exactly. Yeah, she was my first closest friend in preschool, literally.
She is featured on a lot of your songs, a lot of your music, and that is another reason that I think your music is so unique and its own style because she brings like a songstress style to it.
Mm.
She's very soulful and she sings with a lot of feeling. She's super dope, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Have you guys done an album together, just the two of you?
Yeah, we've done two. Maggie has a degree in classical guitar, and I've always loved to work with musicians that do not normally do rap or hip hop. Like a trumpet player named Riley Mulherker. He's amazing. He's on a lot of my stuff. He went to Juilliard. He runs the jazz program in, I believe, in Nashville right now. Mixing those components is always what kind of excites me. But yeah, Maggie and I have two projects, one called Play Pretend and one called Heavy Hearts. And Heavy Hearts came out recently. They're both more of my experimental projects. Going into them, I sort of knew they wouldn't do the numbers that my more fun, bouncy hip hop stuff does. But they're two of my favorite projects I've done.
Heavy Hearts is the one that I first started listening to. That's the one that
Nice.
that the dude John Sylvain mentioned specifically by name was that album.
Yeah, I love it.
It's super dope. Seriously, all your stuff from Huckleberry to Heavy Hearts and Play Pretend and Funk Liquor and what is it?
Friends, Funk, and Liquor.
Friends,
Yeah.
Funk and Liquor. All of those albums are so different, yet they do have one through line, which is your lyrical sensibility, if that makes any sense. Even though you said that the other ones were sort of less fun and bouncy, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that one because everything that I've ever heard from you is fun. Some of it's not as bouncy, but it's all fun.
I appreciate that.
I mean, you even dropped a new single today.
Today, yes, it's release day today.
Yeah, it's release day
Yeah.
called I Might. That was the first thing I did this morning. I didn't even get out of bed yet. Like I woke up, I reached over for my phone and I looked for I Might, found it, played it, loved it. Tell me the reason behind I Might. What did you write it about?
Yeah, so I might we made that whole song in a day, kind of a while ago. I had just put out Heavy Hearts maybe a month after. I just wanted to make something, I guess, less complicated, I guess just fun, pure fun. I wanted to talk about goofy shit.
So something not deep.
Yeah, just like pure kind of work, like stream of consciousness, goofy fun. And I went to my friend Antoine Vincent. He's a producer. We made that beat together, and I wrote that thing in a day. And I have a line about it where I talk about Heavy Hearts because I said I'll make a project where I barely rap, call it Heavy Hearts to find out where my real fans at. Just kind of a little jab at like people who don't like when I switch up my style. You know, where's the old Sam? I Might is sort of bringing my old style back, but in a way that I want to do, not that I feel pressured to do. You know what I mean?
I love that. I think it's awesome that you're not staying inside your lane, so to speak, that you're branched out and doing different things because we all can name the artists who didn't grow and who didn't change and evolve. You know, like when's the last time you heard a new album by ABBA or Banana Rama or the Bangles or whatever? But the people who do change and evolve, they go on forever. Aerosmith still does stuff. Metallica. I mean, if you took Metallica's first album with Metallica's most recent album, there's no fucking way you would believe that's the same band.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody evolves, and if the audience doesn't get behind it, they can either get fucked or, you know, they can just come along for the ride.
Yeah, Bob Dylan, like you have to change if you want to grow. And even if that means some fans say fuck you and leave you, and then but new ones come, you got to do what excites and interests you because that's the only way your music will stay exciting and interesting.
Is that something that you heard Bob Dylan say, or is that a quote, or?
No, you know, when he went electric, a bunch of people hated him for it, and he would always do what he wanted. He's just kind of known to alienate fans, but in the end, you look at his catalog and it's eclectic and amazing. And
wonderful. What the fuck is banana goo pie?
It is a sort of made up strain of a dab oil, like hash oil. I used to be a big stoner. People credit me as that being one of the first songs about dabbing. I don't know if you've heard of dabbing.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Because that became a big thing in Seattle. And banana goo pie is sort of a made up strain of weed. I just loved how it sounded.
Where did you come up with those three words together? Because I can't imagine anybody ever has put those three words together in a sentence.
I think banana goo was a real hash oil strain that you could buy at a store. And then I thought it sounded better as banana goo pie.
Love it. I know that you're a sober person. If you had the opportunity, would you release a strain of banana goo pie? Sam Lachow's banana goo pie? You would?
Absolutely. I've tried a little bit. I didn't put that much effort in, but it's kind of a difficult thing with all the legalities. And I remember going down that road and just kind of being like, oh, there's a headache.
When did you know that this could be a career? Like, I know that it was fun and you were having a blast. When did you know you could pay your bills and make a living doing this?
Yeah, man, that's a good question. It's funny because I did a year of college when I was, I guess, 18 or 19. And I think my major was going to be communications. I literally don't even know what that means. I just thought like music is definitely not an actual career. I got to like do this. And I got kicked out of school for selling weed. And it was one of the better things that happened to me. I kind of had to pursue what I've always known I was going to do, which was music and art in general. I started with film. I did music videos for artists. That's how I paid the bills in the beginning. So I was making a living with art at an early age, starting around 20 maybe, shooting music videos for people, 18, 20. And then music became my full-time thing when I realized it was more profitable for me to shoot my own music videos and spend that time on my own stuff, maybe around 23. I'm 33 now. So I think I've been making a living off this for the last decade, which is such a blessing. And I'm so grateful for it. Like sometimes people will say, you should be way bigger than you are. And I'm always like, I appreciate that, but I feel so lucky I get to do this still,
Yeah, the fact that you can pay your bills and support your family, because it is my understanding that you do have a family and a child of your own.
No, I don't.
You don't have a kid?
Just my dog.
Oh, your dog is your baby.
He's my baby.
Got you. I heard an interview where you were like, oh, here's my baby. And I was like, oh, this dude's got a baby. Okay, so your dog is your baby.
Yeah.
Well, I think that paying your bills with your art is so rare. And I mean, you watched your parents struggle doing that for your entire life.
Yeah.
To be able to get to do it with hopefully less of a struggle, dude, hats off. That's amazing. You won. You won life.
I mean, I got to remember that because everything becomes a job. When people say, if you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, that is bullshit. There's work in everything. In my job, I have to market my music. It feels like work. The creative process doesn't feel like work for sure, but there's always work that comes with it. But I definitely love what I do, and I'm very grateful.
There was a movie, I can't remember the name of the movie off the top of my head right now for some reason, but it starred Jennifer Garner and Timothy Olyphant and a few other folks, including Kevin Smith. And Timothy Olyphant's character was a photographer, and he turned into like a cinematographer, and he made commercials. And one day he was on the beach and he was taking pictures. And Jennifer Gardner said, you take great pictures. Why did you stop taking pictures? And he said, I started getting paid for it. And then it turned into a job.
Man, that is so true. This is kind of off topic. I'll make it quick, but I think about this study that is a kind of a famous study where they put a bunch of kids in a room and give them crayons and paper, and they're all drawing. They all start drawing, and they're loving it. And then they start giving the kids gold stars for every picture they draw. And then when they stop giving them gold stars, the kids stop drawing because they're like, well, why the fuck would I make another drawing if I'm not going to get a gold star from it? So like once you get paid for your art, it definitely starts feeling a little bit more like a job, and you have to consciously find the joy again. And that's what I'm working on. I used to use drugs and alcohol to make it a party. And now I'm at a place where I'm starting to have a lot of fun with it again without that stuff. And I will say, when I'm not spending a shit ton of money on cocaine, I am much more self-sustainable.
Yeah, it's easier to pay your bills if
Exactly.
you didn't give it all to the coke, man.
Way easy.
The name of that movie was Catch and Release, by the way. It's a really good movie.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors. Let's get back into it.
Okay, so let's talk about, if you're okay with it, let's talk about your transition from a not sober person to a sober person. Are you okay with talking about that?
Yeah, I'm down to talk about whatever.
First of all, is cocaine as much fun as everybody says it is?
I don't think it's fun. Maybe I did. I think that I'm more of an alcoholic, and cocaine enables you to keep drinking. Because if you keep drinking without Coke, or at least for me, I get lethargic, I get sloppy, and I pass out eventually. With cocaine, I can drink for 3 days straight, no sleep, and get a ton of work done. Cocaine is like instant Adderall caffeine up your face.
Up your face. I heard a story about when you sent yourself to rehab. You were calling around looking for an empty bed and nobody had one. And so you had to call at 8 o'clock every morning to find out if there was an empty bed.
Oh, I forgot about that.
And then you said a funny thing. You said, what kind of junkie is awake at 8 o'clock in the morning trying to find a bed for a rehab? So answer that question. What kind of junkie is up at 8 o'clock trying to find a bed?
I mean, I was not waking up at 8 o'clock. I was staying up till 8 a.m. on drugs. So that was the only way I could do it. I would be partying and then 8 o'clock would hit and I'd be like, oh, fuck, I got to try to find, because I was desperate
Why?
because I had been trying to control it for so long. And it got to a point where I had to finally give up and say, I cannot control it. And by control it, I mean, I was trying to like maybe only do it on weekends or, only have a couple drinks. And I was fooling myself for years thinking one day I'll be able to control this thing. And it just got to a point that once I started, I could not stop. And when I tried to stop, I could only make it 2 or 3 days max before my mind starts telling me you deserve a reward or whatever the excuse may be. And I just realized I can't do this unless I am put somewhere where I have no choice. I think I would have been sent to rehab long ago if I had a job where I had, a boss or like I never lost a job because I worked for myself. The drugs I was doing it made me make a ton of music. So I was sort of getting rewarded for it. So there was no one that was like, what is it called? An intervention.
Uh-huh.
I eventually just had to do it myself because no one really knew how much it was killing me. So yeah, they told me the only way to get into this treatment is if you keep calling every day at 8 a.m. and you're kind of waiting for one of those people to like leave because a lot of people don't make it through the whole 28 days rehab. They detox and they're like, fuck this shit, I want to get high. So you just got to keep calling until a bed opens up. And that's what I did.
I heard a famous addiction doctor one time say that the definition of addiction is doing something, anything, nonstop in the face of consequence. Like if let's just say your wife says, hey, if you don't stop drinking, I'm going to leave you. And then you keep drinking. Okay. So there's consequences there. Or your work starts suffering and then you're getting in trouble. Like you said, that's a consequence. It doesn't sound like you had any consequences. You mentioned nobody else knew how much it was killing me. What made you think you needed rehab and what made you think it was killing you?
I guess I'll say two things about that because there was consequences at one point. My manager threatened to leave me if I didn't get sober. My girlfriend was going to leave me if I didn't get sober. But when I tried to get sober for them, for outside things, it didn't work. I would stay sober long enough for them to decide I was good. And then I would always relapse. It had to get to a point where I was desperate enough, where I wanted to do it for myself and not just for other people. So this time around, I have 8 months sober yesterday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to get my little 8-month coin today. I'm excited. That happened 8 months ago. To be honest with you, I stayed up for 8 days straight on cocaine, meth, and alcohol and was hallucinating crazy from the sleep deprivation. I went kind of insane. When I finally went to sleep, I woke up and I didn't go to rehab this time. I didn't have to do anything this time. I didn't have to delete any of my dealer's numbers. I didn't have to hide my bag. I just was ready. This is the only way I can describe it. And I immediately went to a meeting and got myself it's called a sponsor, and just started doing whatever he told me to do. And here I am. Yeah. So
multiple attempts, and then one day you just woke up and said, that's it, I'm done. I've had enough, and it's on me.
Exactly. I got to keep working it, or eventually my mind will tell me, hey, maybe you can control it this time. They call it a disease. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what it is for me. It's a disease of the mind. So eventually, maybe I'll get a year sober and my mind will say, you deserve to celebrate.
Don't say maybe. I heard somewhere that Macklemore is sort of a mentor to you.
Yeah, he's helped me a lot. And we talk just via text about this stuff because there's not a lot of people that understand trying to be sober in the music world. Maybe if I lived in LA, I would have a lot more people that I could talk to. Around here, most of the people that are sober at the meetings I go to, they don't know how common drugs and alcohol are in my industry and just how it's part of it and how it becomes hard to be creative without it when all you've known was using for so long. So people like Macklemore and I have a few others, they're always good to talk to.
Were you scared that you were going to have, let's say, a creative desert without the drugs?
Yeah, I was terrified because that is what happened. It took about a month for me to even be able to like listen to my ideas because alcohol and cocaine for me would make everything I do sound better than maybe it even was. It made me very confident in my art, in myself, and without it, I had no interest in making music. I was very depressed. I thought no one wanted to hear what I had to say anymore, which is kind of crazy just because, I have fans telling me all the time they want stuff, but I was so down on myself. And then I had to wait for that serotonin to naturally come back. And yeah, for anyone has trouble making art without the confidence boosters of drugs and alcohol, it is more difficult to get started, but you're better without it and it comes back in full force.
I've even heard like comedians. There's a comedian, doesn't matter who it is. He had a brain injury. Well, he had a tumor and then he had a tumor removed. And he was afraid that it was the tumor that was making him funny.
Yeah.
And so he was terrified that once they removed the tumor, he wasn't going to be funny anymore. He was funny, but then he got into some Me Too trouble. So it all worked out. Tell me about Friends, Funk, and Liquor versus Play Pretend. You have a line in one of your songs that says something to the effect of one of your fans told you that he got addicted to drugs because of Friends, Funk, and Liquor, but thanks to Play Pretend, he's all clean and sober now or some shit. So
Yeah.
basically, that's the gist of the line. Tell me about the difference between those two albums.
So yeah, it's interesting. One of the things I like about my catalog is it's sort of like a diary, you see all the different stages of my life. And even though that comes with a little bit of cringe for me, I'll hear some of my old lines and be like, ooh, I was about to learn the harsh truth in about a month, like I did not know what was coming. My first album was called Brand New Bike. And it's like, I was just wasn't that into drugs yet. I was happy riding a bike in the summer. Things were good, And then later on it progressed to Friends, Funk, and Liquor, which was glorifying drugs and alcohol. And, I don't really even remember making that album. I remember parts of it for sure, but I still love that project, but it was all a party. It was all fun at that point. No consequences. And then Play Pretend comes around and it's like, I'm realizing that Friends, Funk, and Liquor lifestyle is not sustainable. And my depression's coming in. Shit got a little darker. I don't know if my older music got people into drugs and partying, but it was definitely like glorifying it in a way, because that's what it was. I loved it. But then later on in my music, you hear me talk about the downside of it and trying to get clean. And I love when I hear that that's helped people.
Love it. The song, I think it's called Brand New Bike. You also did a song called Brand New Bike, right?
Yeah, it's the first track of the album.
That's the one where the girl says, would you mind if I ride my bike for a little while?
Exactly. Here's a
Yeah, I was gonna say that one right there. Is that the cover art behind you?
Yeah, it's an artist named Terrible Tony made his own version of the cover art. It's like
a variant.
Yeah.
That's a sick painting, by the way. I love it. It's really cool. One of the questions I wanted to ask you is that in that song, Brand New Bike, that's not a euphemism for anything. You're actually talking about just riding a bike and enjoying fun, like enjoying being a kid or playing.
Yeah, I still do. I don't do it as much as I used to, but that freedom that comes with riding a bike. You can't get a parking ticket or a speeding ticket. You can cut through alleyways. There's so much more freedom than a car. It is about actually riding a bike, but it is sort of a metaphor for being young and free.
Oh, I love it. I wasn't quite sure because the way the lyrics are, that could have been a euphemism for anything. It could have been a euphemism for having sex.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to clarify that actually was about riding a bike. It's a catchy as fuck song.
Thanks.
Again, all your shit is dope. Why did you choose to kickstart your album, Huckleberry? Why did you decide to go that route?
It felt right. It was around the time that Kickstarter was becoming a thing. I had put out self-funded projects for a while and we couldn't afford to make it. We thought it would be a cool thing for, because I'm independent and the fans are what keep me alive, for the fans to sort of help me make this project.
Why are you independent?
Well, one, because I just wanted to do whatever I wanted and I didn't know how to get signed to a label or anything. And then by doing that independently in the beginning, the creative freedom I experienced from that, I realized I would never want to let go. And then labels at a certain time became sort of obsolete. I definitely got flown down to New York and LA and met with labels and stuff. And it was basically like, I don't think my catalog would be as eclectic as it is if I went the label route. They would want me to keep making the same type of stuff, whatever sold the most. There was definitely times where I was angry that I was independent just because I'm like, damn, the people that hear this song love this song so much, but I don't know how to get it to more people. There's, it's hard when it's just purely word of mouth. You don't have any label pushing your stuff.
I hear you.
Yeah.
So are you still in that place? You still would not sign on to a record label?
I would be down to sign a sort of like distribution deal, like give a percentage to a company that will, help get my stuff on playlists. And we're looking into that. I have one right now called Repost. They're owned by SoundCloud, and they take a small percentage and just help me with my distribution.
Nice. As I mentioned earlier, you had a new single drop today. It's called I Might. Will this single be part of a forthcoming album? Are artists still releasing albums? Or are we in a world of singles now?
I have a current sort of idea in mind, but I have no idea if it'll change. I'll manifest it now. I want to put out a project with 10 songs produced by me and Antoine Vincent, I Might being one of them, all just kind of fun songs. I want to call it The Left-Handed Bandit. And I want it to be just sort of the opposite of Heavy Hearts in a way. And that would come out in the middle of this year, maybe.
The Left-Handed Bandit is a lyric that you drop in the song I Might. What's the meaning of a left-handed bandit? Where's that phrase from?
I like the way it sounds, and I'm left-handed.
Pretty simple.
Pretty simple.
One of the funniest things I've ever heard, and I mean ever, was you were doing an interview. This woman asked you if you got paid to do the Safeway commercial. For the listeners, it wasn't really a commercial. It was more like an inspirational video for the employees of Safeway that would play in the break room for the Safeway employees. And the lady asked you if you got paid to do that commercial, and your answer was, and I quote, "Fucking duh. You think I do that shit for free?" I could not stop laughing. That was the funniest shit. Are you still open to do commercial shit like that? Because I know that you have been asked, and even that was as a result of you doing some other sort of corporate stuff. So are you still open to doing stuff like that?
Yeah, like if the money's right, of course. When that first kind of came out, I felt this crazy sense of like dread that it was going to ruin my like persona or reputation as a rapper. I don't really know what I thought. And now I'm just like, I don't care at all. I'm like, it was clearly for the money, and I'm an independent artist. And if you think that an independent artist isn't going to sell out a little bit for some change, then you can fuck off. I use that money to make my real stuff,
So that's what a lot of actors do. Like they have sort of a slogan that's like one for them, one for me. Like they'll make a movie that they don't want to make because they're going to get paid. And then that money, they can go make the indie film they want to make.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of the same thing, right? Like you're all, whatever, I'll do that shit. I'm not embarrassed. I'll take that money and then I'll use that money to go make something I'm passionate about.
Exactly. It would just have to be either a lot of money or something that doesn't take up a lot of my time, because if it becomes something that is taking up creative energy that I could be using on my own stuff, then it's just not worth it, really.
That makes sense. Like I mentioned before, Maggie is on a bunch of your tracks, and she's probably your oldest friend. And when I brought her up, you mentioned that you like to have artists that are not known or don't really get to do rap a lot. What about that entices you? Like you mentioned the trumpet player, and like I said earlier, you've got a lot of jazz and funk and blues in your tracks that is not really part of rap and hip hop as we all know it. So how did you find that sound, and what led you down that road?
Part of it was, I produce my own stuff, but I'm not the most technically advanced at all by any means. Like I still don't really know how to use the software correctly. And I found that the way to kind of bypass that and not have your stuff sound sort of amateur and janky is live music. Live music never fails. So I put a live instrument in my song, and it's not going to sound like MIDI. I don't know if you know what MIDI is, but it won't sound like, it'll sound authentic, and it just takes it to another level. And then also I just love, I think Pharrell said it in an interview. I think he said he likes to find a diamond and then see what that diamond would look like in a glass of Jello. And that's kind of a good way to think of it. Like, what would Maggie's sort of Elliott Smith style songwriting with her classical guitar sound like blended with my hip hop vibes? That interests me and excites me.
I love it.
Hey, Streetwalkers, here's a word from our sponsors.
Hey, Streetwalkers. On February 26th, we will release our 400th episode. I want to give each and every one of you a huge thank you for riding with me all the way to this giant mile marker. For the first time since the show started, I'm going to be taking a little break for the month of March. There will be no new episodes, but instead, I'll release an older episode every weekday of the month in a best of style, showcasing some of my wife's favorite conversations. Enjoy these 21 Fascination Street classics Monday through Friday, every weekday in the month of March, and I'll be back with all new episodes beginning April 1st. I couldn't do this without you, so tell a friend, and thanks again for being Streetwalkers.
Let's get back into it.
I was on your website earlier. It's samlachow.com. How come you don't sell your, or you might, or maybe I just couldn't find it, but the only things I could find on samlachow.com were, autographed posters and clothing and hats and shit like that. I couldn't find any of your albums, any of your music. Was I looking in the wrong place?
Yeah, I hope so, because we got 2 vinyls there, Brand New Bike and Huckleberry. I would really appreciate it if you got one. That I sign them. They're fucking cool. We have CDs too. The CD bundle, I sign them all.
All right. Well, I'm going to have to look again because I want them shits.
Oh, that would be awesome. Thank you.
The reason that I want them is because, like I said, I put you on Spotify and I just let it go. And then one day I was like, oh shit, I wonder if he's on Amazon Music. And so I put it on Amazon Music and just let it go. And they don't have the same songs.
Oh, wow.
You have songs on Spotify that are not on Amazon, and you have songs on Amazon that are not on Spotify.
Weird.
It blew me away. So I was like, well, shit, where can I actually just go to get all this dude's music? So I went to samuelchow.com and I couldn't find it. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to look for them shits. All of you listeners, you streetwalkers, go to samuelchow.com and check out some of his shit. Go to YouTube first or Spotify first and listen to it so that you know what you're buying, because this is not like any rap you've ever heard before. It's more closely akin. It's not apples to apples, but it's more, especially the earlier fun stuff. And then this newest single, it's more akin to the early Will Smith days where people called him Disney rap because he was just rapping about having a good time and being fun before his shit went south.
Yeah, if you ever want to recommend something to people, I have a playlist on Spotify I made. I think it's called My Favorite Songs of Mine.
It's called My Favorite Songs of Mine?
I think so. And It's just sort of, I plucked all of my favorite songs from my whole catalog and put them in one little playlist.
Okay. Well, remember earlier I mentioned that dude, John Sylvain, who turned me on to you in the first place?
Yeah, that was so cool.
One of the questions he wanted me to ask, he gave me a bunch of questions. I'm only going to ask you 2 of his questions because most of them were ridiculous. But the first question I'm going to ask you from John Sylvain, is what's your favorite song of yours?
My favorite song of mine.
You can't be I Might because that's brand new.
I know. Right now it is Underwater Elevator. Underwater Elevator is on Heavy Hearts, and I just love how it came out.
Nice. So that's your favorite one right now?
Yeah.
My favorite one is Treehouse. Holy shit. I love that song. You say some shit like, this one goes out to all the 10th graders who come home late for dinner and slam the door and cuss their parents out. And then 10 years later, you're a grown up and that door slamming asshole is the only thing you care about.
Yeah, 10 years later, you're getting married and you're a parent now, and that door slamming asshole is the only thing you care about.
What inspired that lyric? Because even as I hear you say it now, it gives me chills because it is so true to life. Because we were all that kid, and then we're all going to be that adult. You don't have any kids. Where did this insight come from? It's the deepest lyric I've ever heard in a rap song that spoke to me. I'm sure there's others that speak to other people, but this spoke to me. That's the deepest one.
Yeah, I think it was just getting older and realizing, when you get to that point where your parents become human beings
Mm-hmm.
instead of the gods that they were when you were young,
Mm-hmm.
and realizing, why did I put them through hell by being this angsty teenager? And I just kind of wrote that line, and a lot of people tell me what you just told me, and it just kind of came.
Awesome. Can I play that song? Can I play Treehouse on this episode?
Absolutely. Yeah, if you want a quick little tidbit about that song that makes it even more emotional, the chorus, it's, I know you're going to remember me if you don't remember it all. And that was co-written by my fellow producer. He goes by Wilson Luxurious. At the time, his mother was going through early onset Alzheimer's. That line was written about her. I know you're going to remember me if you don't remember it all. Knowing that and listening to the chorus, it gets me very emotional.
So that's the part where it's a woman singing, right? And she says, I put my picture on your wall. If you don't remember,
me if you don't remember it all. Yep.
Wow, that's haunting.
Mm-hmm.
That's super haunting. Do you want to introduce that song like you're a radio DJ?
Pew, 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 pew. DJ Sammy Whammy Lachow. This is a brand new exclusive of an old, not exclusive song called Treehouse. Pew, pew, pew.
Off the album Huckleberry. That is fucking hilarious. Oh my God. Well done.
In the living room with our pictures on the wall, I know you're gonna remember me. If you don't remember it all, we got a song and an old tree. Even without the leaves, it'll still be there. I won't leave you alone.
14 came black and milds, 15 came blunts, 16 came the liquor, 17 came guns. Ugh, a lot's changed since that old red sofa, and now that that's gone, this black one's way too nice to take a nap on. My little brother's a teen now, he's now 14. Wow, that's when we smoked green at Jean's house. Draped up, dripped out, but never really figured our shit out. Every damn day another problem, it's been drama since baby bottles, If I could be young forever, I would. Scratch that, let's go get it, man. Bring it on, young, and I'm ready, fam, damn. A little different since drawing pirates with grandma or staying up and watching The Sandlot. You're killing me, Smalls.
In the living room with our pictures on the wall, I know you're gonna remember me. If you don't remember it all, we got a song and an old tree. Where the tree house used to be, it'll still be there. I won't leave you
Charlie, you'll probably cheat, but still end up with D's like I did. Feel rich from selling a little weed like I did. But I promise you, no matter how damn fun it might feel, just remember that money's not real, for real. Give away these clothes, give away this dough, give away this weed, give away this blow, give away this internet, give away this phone, give away these fans on Facebook. Handshakes with the fake looks, greedy homies with the greedy chicks, booty calls that don't mean shit. Take that away, you still got family. We may not be too flashy or fancy, that'll never change. We'll switch cities, but we're still the same. More than a mom, a dad, kids in a picture frame. I heard you and your little buddies were blowing weed in the house. Opened every single window and left the Febreze out. Hella slick, dad was clowning on your heart, man, I was dying. But we still gave you some points for trying. Listen, this goes out to 10th graders at their parents' house. Come home late for dinner, slam the door and cuss their parents out. 20 years later, you're getting married and you're a parent now, and that door slamming asshole is the only thing you care about.
In the living room with our pictures on the wall, I know you're gonna remember me. If you don't remember it all, we got a song and an old tree. Where the tree house used to be, it'll still be there. I won't leave you alone for long. I won't leave you alone for long. I won't leave you alone for long.
That's off the Huckleberry album from 2014, kids. And that's the Kickstarter album, right?
Exactly.
Is that your most popular album?
Yeah, I'd say it is.
Your biggest one, I guess?
Yeah, it has Banana Good Pie and Treehouse, but my most popular song or my most streamed song is called Wrong Man, and that's on Friends Funkin' Liquor.
Yep. What's in your hand? Wrong hand.
Oh, yeah,
Wrong
yeah,
man. Wrong. Yeah, I love that. That's awesome. So why is failure important?
I mean, it's so important. I guess obviously you learn from it and blah, 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 all the stuff that all the, internet memes say, but you have to not be afraid of it, or else you are not going to make anything unique and creative, because you have to try things that might not work and learn to accept quote unquote failure. I don't think there really is such a thing. I've learned the most from, I guess, failure. It's something I have to constantly remember, that the world wants to hear your art. Everyone has something to put into the world. Everyone is a creative in some way. And it's just fear of failure that blocks people from putting themselves out there, because it is a scary thing.
Beautiful. A lot of previous guests have mentioned a book. You tell me why the book, The Artist, is so important to you. The Artist's Way, I'm sorry.
The Artist's Way. Oh, yeah. It was just really helpful in guiding me through becoming creative again without drugs and alcohol. I guess the part that affected me the most was when you're not feeling inspired, just write. And it's going to be shitty. Allow it, and don't judge yourself. Just go. And eventually it becomes a little less shitty. And eventually you have, a bad, rough draft, but you have something, and you can then take that. When I can't write right now, like if I'm having quote unquote writer's block, which isn't a thing for me anymore because of that book, I will just write a really bad verse. I'll play the beat that I'm working on and write a really bad verse to it. And there might be a little bit of something in there that becomes the basis for what I construct the good verse out of. You just got to start. The starting is the hardest part, but it's possible. And it also tells you to write stream of consciousness style every morning. I don't stick to that like I should, but I find that really helpful too.
Not for any particular reason, just to do it, just as an exercise?
No, because it gets your brain in that mode of writing, and it's almost like a meditation exercise. I couldn't explain it. Maybe the writer of the book can explain it, but it seems to really get the juices flowing.
Rad. What can we look forward to in 2024 from Mr. Sam Lachow?
So I'm back and I'm having fun again. It's such a blessing. And the goal right now is a new single every 4 weeks and 2 shortish albums this year. One is already finished. It was kind of made a long time ago. I'm not going to say what it is. It's going to be a little bit of a surprise, but the other one will hopefully be The Left-Handed Bandit. But yeah, every 4 weeks, a new song. We just submitted the 2nd single to come out in February. I'm working on the 3rd right now.
So you're planning on dropping one song every month this year?
Yep.
Holy balls. Well, by the time this comes out, it's going to be old news, man.
Yeah, there will be a new song out called Downfall by the time this is out.
Nice. And is it along the same lines? It's playful and fun and just enjoying life again?
It's a mixture. It's not taking itself too seriously at all, but it's a little more melodic and I guess pretty than I Might. It's major chords rather than a minor, but it's still fun and bouncy.
Well, since this is going to come out when I Might is quote unquote old, can I play I Might at the end of this episode?
Please do.
All right, rad. I appreciate that. Sam, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, and don't forget to hit your YouTube and your website.
Yeah, it's Sam Lachow on everything. SamLachow on Instagram at Sam Lachow. Spotify, same thing. YouTube, same thing. All the fucking whatever, same thing. I think TikTok, unfortunately, is like at real Sam Lachow, something like that. But you'll find it. I'm still like kind of learning TikTok, I guess. I just don't care all that much, but whatever.
Love it. And samlachow.com.
SamLachow.com, yeah.
You plan on doing any Kickstarter stuffs anytime soon?
Considering it, yeah, for either an album or I've been wanting to make a short film for a long time. So which I would need to kickstart, and I would make the soundtrack for it. I think it would be a cool project. So that's something I would consider kickstarting.
Would you get your dad to help you with that and draw on all of his experience?
I would love to. I tell him all the time. He's like me, like he likes working on his own stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's a huge fan of me though. Like he texted me today how much he loves I Might. But I always tell him, like, if you ever want to collab on a music video, I'm ready. So hopefully we'll do that in the near future.
What's it like to have your parents such a fan of your work?
I think things would be a lot different. I have no idea how if I didn't have the complete support of my parents. They never cared about how much money I make as long as I was happy. That's all they care about. I remember, this is kind of personal, but making an amends to my father about, it was while I was in rehab, about my drugs and alcohol, and part of what I said was I thought that he was scared that drugs and alcohol would get in the way of my career and would screw me up financially. And he just said, "Oh, I never even thought about that. I just care about your health and my son being happy," and that kind of hit me hard. I was like, damn, they don't care about any of the superficial stuff. They just want me to be okay. So yeah, I've never had a fear of like, if this doesn't work out, my dad's gonna be mad that I'm not a lawyer.
Well, that is super rad. For you to have that support from your parents and your dad, he texted you today and said he loves the new song you dropped today. Dude, that's magic. That's special.
Yeah, and I have a really hard time watching my dad's stuff, and he knows this. I think it comes from childhood, that their art being a source of financial struggle and my parents fighting. I'm in therapy talking about it actually, and like there's a lot that goes into it, but I've always had a hard time, watching my dad's stuff, but he loves watching mine.
So you have a hard time watching your dad's stuff because you remember how hard it was on the family while that project was being made, right?
Yeah, I think I equate it to my parents fighting about money.
That makes sense.
Yeah, that's kind of where I got in therapy with it, and I think that must be part of it. And also, it was stressful as a kid being in their shows, because not only is it nerve-wracking, but also it felt like my family's livelihood depended on how well it did in a way.
It's a lot of pressure on a kid.
Yeah.
Who didn't ask to be in that position in the first place.
Yeah, so now I'm just kind of like, keep me out of it.
Oh, check you out. How rad are you? Holy moly. Sam Lachow. Dude, before I let you go, is there anything we didn't talk about or I didn't ask you about that you specifically wanted to talk about today?
I don't know. I really had fun with this. This was a great interview. I loved all the questions, and really, really appreciate that you actually listened to like the whole catalog. That's amazing.
No, I won't even stop. It's going to be what is that? Spotify Wrapped? Is that what it's called? Yeah. Spotify Wrapped. Dude, I swear, if you were to pull your Spotify Wrapped right now for 2024, I'd be on top.
Thanks so much.
I love it.
Seriously.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Cause I'm having fun while I'm helping you out. I can't imagine how much it's helping you out if I'm just listening to it on Spotify, but hey.
Oh, it does. It does for sure.
Sam Lachow, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day and your hectic release day schedule to hang out and let us get to know you a little bit better on Fascination Street, man. I really appreciate it.
No, this was a great time to reflect during release day. So I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
100% my pleasure. And maybe later on in the year, after you drop that first album of the year, maybe we can do this again, man.
I would love to anytime.
I had a blast, dude. You are amazing. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it, man. Take it easy.
Yeah, you too. Have a great weekend.
You too, man. Hey, congratulations, dude. Happy release day.
Thanks so much. Peace.
Take it easy.
go? Apparently so. I feel it coming in the air. Beware the lions and bears, you're scaring them both. I might put down the bottle, pick the big book up. I used to hide a 40 ounce inside a big gold cup. Ooh, ooh, here come the hiccups, yeah. Seattle like a Subaru, country like a pickup truck. What's up? Round with the windows down, brand new bike and a brand new sound. With a little flavor of the old school. I might fuck around and go to rehab to beat the cocaine. I might rebrand and keep the same name. I might put out a record where I barely rap and call it Heavy Hearts to find out where my real fans at. The child. I might. Yeah. Go, Huckleberry's house, bounce. Everybody get the fuck out. My flow's back and nose, been a little while, but it's still set with Emmy the Chow. I got 2 pairs of pantaloons and a flannel too. Man, I used to dabble and dab the banana goo. Grew up in Seattle, I've been in and out the zoo, but the left-handed bandit is back. I might buy a bottle just to pour it all out for the homies who ain't around, there's way too many to count. I might give my puppy a treat just cuz, and then give him another treat cause he was only just a bit of buy. Ghostwriters and proofreaders, cold pressed celery inside of a 2-liter. Boy, I must have made enemies with every barkeeper. Look me in the eyes like, there you are, Peter. I might.
Opening music is the song FSP Theme, written, performed, and provided by Ambush Vin. Closing music is from the song Say My Name off the 2021 album Underdog Anthems, used with permission from Jack's Hollow. If you like the show, tell a friend. Subscribe and rate and review the show on iTunes and wherever else you download podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. All the episodes are available there as well. Check me out on Vero at Fascination Street Pod and TikTok at Fascination Street Pod. And again, thanks for listening.